Hello everyone, Hans Schulte coming to you from Tips on the Track. Just wanting to talk to you about a paradox that I come across all the time in the work that I do. And really it is the concept of change, such an elastic, ever-present concept, and structure. Now, a lot of people struggle to hold these two concepts in their minds at the same time. They seem completely opposed to each other. But I want to tell you a story that my mentor talks about all the time in his conferences and talks to thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, I guess, a year. He talks about Alan Mulally and the story of Ford Motor Corporation. Well, Alan Mulally was the incumbent CEO of Ford in 2006. This is when Ford was facing complete annihilation. They had posted a $12.7 billion loss in 2005, and the executive was expecting Alan Mulally to do some incredible magical strategy. Probably they wanted him to fire 20,000 people. They definitely wanted him to go to the Fed and get the $23 billion bailout that they needed just to stay afloat. Well, Alan Mulally came from Boeing. He was the president of commercial aircraft there, and from an aeronautical engineering thinking background, Alan knew that structure was the thing that kept aircraft in the sky. He also knew that simple, measurable accountability in a structured way really led to phenomenal change. So instead of all this magical thinking that the executive expected Alan to do, he introduced one thing. That thing became known as the BPR, or the Business Plan Review. Business Plan Review was a weekly meeting that Alan Mulally expected every single one of his executives to be at every single week. It didn't matter where they were in the world, what they were doing, they needed to turn up to that meeting and give account of their week before. He even expected them to introduce themselves in the same way, in a structured approach. Something like this: "Hi, I'm Alan Mulally, the CEO of Ford Motor Corporation, and I'd like to give you a review of my past week." He would then make everybody give a review on a traffic light kind of scenario, where green, it was great. Yellow, we needed to pay some attention, and red, we were totally off track. Now, this simple structured approach was so revolutionary for Ford. It sounds ridiculous, but it was so revolutionary for Ford because Ford had been infiltrated by a completely divisive culture. What Alan Mulally recognized right up front was that the executives at Ford and the teams at Ford and the business at large did not collaborate, did not communicate, and obviously had not unlocked any of their creativity or innovation. The reality at Ford was, if something was off track or you weren't going to deliver something, meant that you were potentially going to lose your job. So what the BPR did first in an incremental way was unlock the ability for executives to know who was struggling with stuff and who was absolutely amazing at stuff, who they could count on to help them with problems. Of course, he had to stick with it, and the structure of it and the simplicity of it made it so powerful. And what happened incrementally at first really became an exponential wave that washed itself through Ford. And before long, people were communicating, collaborating, and working together, all as a result of the beginnings of the executives sharing with each other in a structured way what was going on in their particular business and being absolutely accountable to it. Now, we all know that adult sentient being change is hard. If you don't believe me, just check how you're doing with your New Year's resolutions. It's tough. We all know it. Be honest with yourself. Now, depending on what kind of change you're wanting to do in your business, depending on what kind of change you're wanting to do in your life, be like Alan. Do it structured, do it measurable, do it guaranteed, and make that change happen. Have a great day.